Julian Croft thought he had built the perfect life, but nothing prepared him for what he found that evening. He walked in early and found his young wife, Elena, sobbing, her body covered in fresh bruises. Through her tears, she whispered a question that cut deeper than any business betrayal. Am I ugly? Am I a monkey? Don't I belong here? Julian's world tilted. When he checked the hidden cameras he had installed for security, what he uncovered inside his own home shattered him. The cruelty wasn't from strangers, it was family. Before we continue, tell us where in the world you are watching from. Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful content like this. And when he set a trap, the truth that unfolded threatened to destroy his family's name forever. The Croft estate was immaculate from the outside, a fortress of wealth and success. Manicured lawns and tall windows reflected the sunset. To anyone passing by, it was a picture of perfection. But inside, a heavy silence had settled, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Julian eased the door shut, his briefcase dropping softly against the polished floor. He loosened his tie, a slow, deliberate ritual meant to shed the day's pressures. He was home earlier than usual, but the house felt lifeless. No music, no laughter, just the faint tick of a clock somewhere down the hall. His eyes caught a scarf draped over a chair, twisted and clenched, as if someone had been holding on too tight. He walked further in, his shoes clicking against the cold marble. In the nursery, Elena sat on the floor beside an unfinished crib. Her hand rested protectively across her belly, her shoulders trembling. Julian's chest tightened. "Hey," he said, his voice softer than he intended. Elena turned, quickly wiping at her cheeks. Her makeup couldn't hide the shadow of a bruise blooming along her jaw. She gave him the same explanation she always did. She had slipped. It was an accident, nothing to worry about. He crouched beside her, reaching for her hand. It was cold and stiff in his. Through the open window, the faint chatter of two staff members drifted in from the garden. Their whispers were the kind people used when they thought no one was listening. "Poor madam. She doesn't smile like she used to. Don't say it too loud. The old lady comes by too often." The words hit Julian like a physical blow. He wanted to storm outside and demand answers, but he stayed beside Elena. Her silence told him more than words ever could. He helped her up and guided her gently to bed. She faced the wall, turning away from him. Julian sat in the chair beside her, his eyes drifting to the small, dark dome of the security camera in the corner of the ceiling. He had installed them months ago as an afterthought. Now he wondered what those silent eyes had seen. Something was poisoning the air in his perfect home, and he knew it wouldn't go away on its own. Morning arrived, pale and thin, the kind of light that makes everything feel colder. The house went through the motions of a normal day, but the people inside it were just acting. Elena moved carefully, her hand steadying the counter as she buttered toast she didn't eat. When the knife grazed her wrist, she flinched, a tiny movement that Julian saw. He slid his laptop shut. The soft snap sounded like a gunshot in the silent kitchen. He asked if she slept well. She nodded too quickly. He asked if she would rest. Another nod, her eyes fixed on the floor. Her answers were rehearsed, her voice flat. He rinsed a mug that wasn't dirty, then left it on the rack. He told Elena he had calls to take. She nodded again. In the study, he let the door click shut and stood facing the desk. The security monitor waited in the corner, a patient black square. He entered the code and pressed play. The day before unfolded in tiled windows. At first, it was just routine. A housekeeper with a laundry basket, a delivery at the gate. He scrubbed forward. At 3:12 p.m., the kitchen feed caught movement. Julian leaned closer. His mother, Margaret, stepped in. Pearl earrings, perfect posture, every detail precise. She didn't look at the camera. People who believe they own a place forget it, can look back. He watched. The first minute was cool smiles. The second, a chill in their body language. Margaret's chin angled down. Elena's shoulders inched up. In the third minute, the mask slipped. Margaret closed the space between them, her finger pointed like a weapon. The camera had no audio, but the shape of her mouth was clear enough to sting. "You don't belong here." Elena didn't answer, her palm pressed to her belly. Margaret's hand darted out, gripping Elena's arm and shoving her back against the counter. Elena winced, catching herself on the edge. Julian's jaw locked so hard his teeth ached. He rewound it, played it slower, his stomach churning. Another clip showed his mother blocking Elena's path with a chair. Then a slap, quick and unceremonious. Elena steadied herself, swallowing whatever sound tried to escape. He sat back, the leather groaning. He stared at the paused frame, his mother's hand in midair. If he confronted Margaret with anger, she would turn the room into a theater of denial. He needed proof, not drama. He decided to create a frame no one could wriggle out of. Clean angles, steady light, audio on. He muted the monitor and listened to the house. The plan formed not with adrenaline, but with cold, quiet patience. A quiet departure, a parked car around the corner, eyes on the feeds, not a trap out of spite, proof out of necessity. For Elena, for their child, for the air in his house to finally be safe again. Julian rose before the sun, slipping out of bed quietly. By 8 a.m., he kissed Elena's forehead, told her he had meetings in the city, and left through the front doors with deliberate noise. Staff noted his departure. The car rolled down the driveway, but he didn't drive far, just a turn around the block, a stop beneath a broad oak tree. From there, his tablet glowed with the live camera feeds. He leaned forward, waiting. Time slowed until the silver sedan turned into the driveway, his mother's car. She stepped out, polished as ever, and used her own key to enter. The cameras caught everything. Elena in the kitchen pouring tea, her shoulders already tensed. Margaret entered, her shadow stretched across the floor. David watched her lips form sharp, bitter words. He saw the shove. The teacup crashed, porcelain scattering in white shards. Elena flinched, bending to gather the pieces, but Margaret yanked her upright, her grip biting into her arm. Then Margaret's hand reached for the knife block, her fingers curled around the steel. She lifted it slowly, her face twisted into a mask of pure contempt. That was enough. The car door slammed behind him. His footsteps hammered up the drive. He stormed through the side entrance, his voice cracking the stillness like thunder. Enough. Both women froze. Elena stumbled back, clutching her belly as tears broke free. Margaret turned, the knife hovering, her eyes wide not with shame, but with the shock of being caught. Julian advanced, his voice steady and low. Every bruise, every threat, every moment is recorded. He pointed to the ceiling where the tiny red light blinked. Margaret's hand shook. The knife clattered to the counter, its ring sharp against the marble. Her mask of control finally cracked. Julian reached Elena, wrapping his arms around her trembling frame. For a moment, the silence was louder than any shout. Then, distant but growing, came the sound of sirens. The blue and red lights painted the windows as two officers stepped into the foyer. David kept his arm around Elena, guiding her to a chair. He handed the officers his tablet. They watched in silence as the footage played out with brutal clarity. When it ended, they cuffed Margaret. The sound of metal snapping shut echoed through the marble halls. Neighbors gathered at the gate, their whispers curling like smoke. Weeks later, the air in the estate felt different. The nursery walls gleamed with soft, warm paint. The crib stood ready, sunlight spilling across it. And in that quiet, Julian and Elena breathed together, steady and unbroken. Wealth wasn't numbers on a screen anymore. It was in the curve of Elena's smile slowly returning, the faint kicks of life stirring under her hand. It was a love stronger than legacy, a love chosen every single day.